Are you think aside from esports? Are you thinking of? Do you ever think you're going to get into like any other business or any other field?
Well, I mean, you're also what you did the comic, right?
Yep, that's insane. We're still working on that.
Which is also absolutely insane. I feel like you're doing so many massive things all at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's like crazy to see, especially with the 2 videos a day plus streaming. It's like
you'd never think the guy who buys 6 giant dildos is like a savvy businessman who's trying to like branch out. You know, it's like it's awesome.
It's inspiring, honestly.
It's just a lucky position to be in to do those things. Like those are all dream things, like doing the comic book, doing the esports org and stuff like that. It's just things I've always wanted to do. So to be able to do it is just. I love doing it.
Is there like anything else you like really want to like tick off the bucket list that you can say on camera?
You gonna make a whole show from Godslap?
That we definitely want to do that. We've been working on our Netflix pitch, which will hopefully be coming up sometime soon.
Oh hell yeah!
Hell yeah!
Do you want to explain your comic book to the fans?
Yeah, so Godslap is something we started a few years back. So Matt, Danny, Jackson, and I created it. It's just this really goofy, like cyberpunk-esque world where people are slapping the shit out of each other. There's, without giving too much away, there's some villains like the Fister, who they maybe uses his fist as opposed to an open palm. And basically, it's the adventure of AS finding his place in that world right now, as well as eventually squaring off with that guy. That's the arc we're currently on.
I think by the time this comes out, the animation thing will have dropped.
Hopefully.
I think
so right now, the reason we've had issue 2 done for a while, but we've had a problem with like paper shortages and everything because everything's in a shortage. So it's a little out of our hands at the moment, but hopefully soon.
How did the idea come about?
Was it from the slapping video?
Yeah, I was going to ask you, is it from the slapping Olympics?
I think it was. It wasn't right after that either, because Jackson was talking about like some dumb Star Wars shit. Because he's a big Star Wars fan, I was like, Jackson, this is stupid. You know what would be cool? Slapping. And then we just started talking about slapping. And this was right after like the biggest one. I think it was Vasily versus Alesh.
Right.
That was massive.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when you covered the slapping videos, I would just see a video we had 10 million views.
Oh, it's such a fun sport.
I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah,
it's the most Eastern European sport I've ever seen. Because it's like, I feel like Eastern Europeans are not happy unless someone is near death.
Yeah, no, it's.
Like,
I was surprised there wasn't like glassing incidents of like slamming their head on like an actual pint or something crazy. It went hard.
So when is one of them getting sponsored by Moist Esports?
Any day now. We'll get them out there. Get them out there.
Slapping division.
You'll be one of the first, like, someone's going to die from that slapping.
Someone did die.
No.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and is actually one of the biggest guys in the scene. His name was Valus, Artur Valus.
Wait, what happened? You just got slapped, just died?
So the champion Zalesh slapped him so hard that he lost consciousness briefly, but he came to, his brain started hemorrhaging. They had to rush him out, and he was put into a medically induced coma, and he didn't make it.
Holy shit! Oh my god!
If you look at the guy though, you would never expect someone like him could even be pierced by a bullet. Like, he was one of the biggest men I've ever seen.
I'm guessing they didn't like halt the esports at all. The esports,
I'm pretty sure they actually had to stop.
Oh, good.
That division I think had to stop because I haven't seen them do anything like that since. That was their big tournament that happened.
It seemed really bizarre. It seemed kind of like a less of an organized sport, more of a, we have this big guy who wants to try and slap him. He is currently the champion.
Yeah. It was very much, these are fucking freaks and they're gonna slap each other.
Yeah. It definitely seemed like kind of like an underground,
like a circus kind of event, kind of like a,
almost like
beat the guy and you get $100.
Now the US one, Slap Fight Championship, that one actually is like run like a real sport. Like, they do drug testing. They have this thing where like if you get knocked out 3 times, you're just out because they don't want CTE. Like,
I didn't even know there was an American one.
Yeah.
Slap Fight Championship is the American league.
Damn. Oh my god!
It feels way more dangerous than like boxing.
It is because you can't defend yourself.
Exactly.
You just take it.
Some of those
basically
slaps
the
are
equivalent of if a boxer was just standing there, being like, "Come on, punch me in the face."
Yeah,
right.
I don't know. It's terrifying.
It is.
The thought of doing that.
Oh my god! You cover like a lot of like little underground sports like this though. Like, apart from slapping, what are some of your other favorites?
Oh my god! Anyone here a fan of backyard wrestling?
No, what is that?
Please explain.
This is as American as it gets.
This sounds very Floridian.
No, this is very American.
Okay.
Backyard wrestling, it used to be much bigger than it is now, but it's unauthorized, unsanctioned wrestling events where you get
People just film it.
Yep, you just get like a lot of times you get like some inbred people, you get a ring, they get chairs.
Specifically inbred, they
No,
fight
like-
the best. The inbreeding makes them have no pain.
Just traditionally, you'll get some like actual wild people going crazy. So they get chairs, and then eventually, as it ramped up in the early 2000s, they came up with Combat Zone Wrestling, CZW, and that's when they used like real barbed wire, real baseball bats, and they were just beating the shit out of each other and calling it wrestling. They jump off of roofs on top of each other,
my God.
land on grass, not even a ring.
That's just like some World Star shit.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
And there's one in particular. They were on YouTube. I don't know if they are anymore. It's called POR Wrestling. And I'll never forget this stunt. They wanted to go so hard. They had one of them get hit by a moving, like an actual speeding vehicle. So of course it's wrestling, so they script everything. So they're like slapping each other, hits him with like a toilet seat. The guy's stumbling, and then a car comes in. It's going like 30. It's going at least 30. Blasts him. Absolutely fucking blasts him. He flies over the car, lands on the ground, and he's out. I've never seen him again. He may have died. I'm not sure. Never saw him again.
Why was it going 30?
Because it was hype. It was going 30 at the spectators too, because they had an audience. At the spectators, doesn't hit anyone, and just blast that guy.
Holy shit.
They were so proud. They did it again a month later, but this time through a motorhome. So they had two people wrestling on top of a motorhome trailer. Crashes the car going 30 again through the motorhome at the spectators, hits a tree. It is so
How
cool.
are they making money off
They
it?
don't. They make $0.
They're just destroying
They
shit?
just love it.
It's purely for the thrill.
Yep, the love of the
Man,
sport.
I thought the DDT Japan was like crazy wrestling.
No, you guys have like a backyard wrestling subsidiary, I think, like something very similar.
Right.
I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, I filmed
though.
a video with DDT. They're like typically the crazy ones, the one who do those fights with the dolls, the sex
Oh,
dolls.
those are awesome.
And
though.
the one, I went to one of their shows. It was just so weird. It was a half comedy show, half wrestling.
Acrobatics.
There was this whole bit where these guys just got naked and shoved their ass in going in like rotation 3 of them in someone's face
Nice.
while he was out.
Huge.
And then smashed a plastic IKEA box on him, and it like fully shattered. And it's just like, what is this? Like this is
That sounds amazing.
That sounds
Yeah.
But then they legitimately have insane, very good, talented wrestlers for the main show. But then they have like lower down, they have kind of like, I don't know, I mean, I don't even know what to describe it. Like more clown shows. But like one of the guys who I filmed with, he's AEW now. He's like doing really well.
Okay, yeah,
The Japanese
AEW is
guy,
big
really
now.
funny.
Yeah. I think one of my
great.
favorite videos I've seen recently, which is something I didn't know existed in this day and age, was a documentary about the bare knuckle boxing scene.
Yeah,
in the UK.
that's big now.
my
Yeah,
God.
big
which
now.
like the only reason I knew it exists was
Vice
from
one?
the Vice one. Did you see that one?
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah, I fucking love that
It
video.
was,
So-
like it was like a debt collector who
Yeah,
was like
yeah.
the champion from Liverpool or something.
Yeah, he was from Newcastle, I
Oh,
think.
yeah,
and they
right.
were building up to this like final event because there's this bare knuckle boxing champion in England, right? And then someone from America, like I think it was a champion from America, flew over to fight him
Ooh, a new
in
challenger.
England. Yeah, a new challenger approaches, right? And so they build up this massive event. It follows like both of their stories, and you see the American, and he's like perfectly chiseled. You know, he's exactly what you think a bare knuckle boxer should look like.
Right.
And then there's this guy from fucking Newcastle, right? Who's got like this fucking massive beer belly.
he's, like, drinking and eating, like, full English
drinks and eats
breakfast
like
and
he
stuff.
drinks like he was like he has like a proper beer belly. He's drunk most of the time, and so we get to like the day of the fight, and the American is there on time, ready to fight. And the guy from Newcastle is like 2 hours late or something because he's like he's been drinking. He's been drinking the night before, and then he shows up in this taxi, fucking drunk out of his mind, stumbling into the ring, and he fucking wins this fight. It's fucking it's one of the most British things I've ever seen in my
amazing.
life. It literally felt like a Guy Ritchie movie.
Oh my God.
Yeah, if you haven't watched that video, please watch it. It's one of my favorite videos I've watched recently.
It's a Vice documentary on it.
I think it's a Vice
North
documentary.
is wild, bro.
Yeah,
Up north,
it's up
crazy.
north now. What are they doing?
It's like off Florida.
That's one thing I wanted to ask actually. Like, how do you like stumble upon these like kind of very like weird underground like niche?
You just get a lot of people messaging you
Yeah,
about it,
usually
right?
people will tell me about something silly going
okay.
on, like telephone booth boxing is big right now on Twitter.
Okay, hold on. What is that?
It's a Russian sport, I believe. They get two
Awesome.
guys go into a telephone booth and they just start boxing.
What, inside the tiny?
Inside the-
Specifically a telephone.
Men will just find 900 different ways to fight each other.
Yeah. It's cool too. Like they don't hold back either. They go fucking wild in that telephone booth.
Holy
And
shit.
then people like tweet at me like, "Oh, this looks like something Charlie would like," and then I'll check it out. That's
And
usually
you're like,
how I
yeah, you're
find
right.
it.
This is
Yeah.
a lot.
There's a great-
Yeah.
What else? Any other weird shit that you like? I'm sure there's some other fucked up shit.
I've found so many weird communities. This isn't a community, it's one guy, but there's a guy whose entire channel is built around sitting on things wearing tight pants. So he sits on like hot lunches and birthday cakes. And
Oh, I remember. I've seen this
Yep.
guy. It's fucking weird.
it is weird. He just he doesn't even do anything sexual. He sits on it and then maybe he like moves a little
Sits on
bit.
the cake one time. Yeah, okay, I've seen
Is
this.
it like for review purposes?
No,
it's
it's like silent, right?
yeah, I
just-
think it's got to be a fetish, but he doesn't even do anything sexual. He just like sits on food. I don't know. He sits on an orange in one of them, which was cool.
I'm turned on. I'm interested.
I need to find
Yeah.
this guy.
Yeah, it's not really a community, but I mean, he's kind of cool.
One
I guess.
dude.
It's just one. He's making the community, man.
He's building it.
I like to imagine that there's like a secret like Reddit community for that guy, right?
There's
like,
gotta
I
be.
don't like the way that he sat on that orange. You know? I really wish he changed the angle of that
To our
camera.
podcast.
To our
Yeah.
podcast, dissecting why his ass isn't firm enough.
So, did you grow up in Florida? As us?
I've been here my whole life. Yeah.
So, as someone who is outside the US, you know, we hear about Florida basically through the internet.
Yeah.
Is it as crazy as the internet portrays it as? I've always wanted to know.
It's hard to say. Like, I definitely know of like really Florida weird shit. Like even here in Tampa, and I've mentioned this guy a lot. He used to be called the Ybor shoe licker.
What?
There's a place in Tampa, well, south from here, called Ybor.
Right.
And there's a guy there who built himself up like a big reputation for licking people's shoes on the street. So the guy just
For money?
no for fun. So he hangs out. He's just on the street.
Okay.
And if you walk by him, he'll ask if he can lick your shoe. And you expect, like, I imagine you guys are picturing he like licks the top of your shoe or something.
Yeah.
He licks the bottom of your shoe from bottom to top in like one fell swoop.
What?
And
What does he get out of it?
he just likes it. I
Like,
don't know.
turned on by it?
I don't know. He just likes it.
And that's like a Florida staple. That's
Yeah.
like
That's a Tampa staple.
Oh, okay.
Not even
You're like, no,
Florida.
no, come on, that's us. Don't,
that's
don't
our
give those
pride.
Orlando people credit.
Yeah. There's one Chelsea knew as well. The senator. In Ybor as well. There's a place called the Castle.
Right.
And the guy, his name was the senator. He would go there. He'd go in like a G-string, but he'd always pop Viagra. So he'd go like chubbed to this club to dance and get wild and wacky.
Wasn't just chubbed. I mean, he was
People
fully erect.
Rock hard.
People just feel like it's like a different planet
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Like there are those things that exist here, but I, on a normal daily basis, don't see too much Florida
Yeah.
shit.
You know, because obviously, you, like I said, you've been in Florida your whole life. Did you see a progression where it got more weird over the years, or has it always kind of been kind of odd and
It's
wacky?
always-
just less documented?
Yeah, I think just less documented. I think because Florida has that like very open law where it's like anyone who gets arrested, it's all public. You can come check it out. They have videos usually. So it's always
Come
kind of
check
been
it
that
out.
way.
I'm checking it out.
Check it out.
Hey, did you see the new batch? Dude, some good ones on there, man.
Is there like a town billboard, like an Animal Crossing, where it's like, let's see what today's
hey,
news
yo,
Make it sound like
new
a zoo or
arrest just
something, you
dropped.
know? Come look at all the wild shit happening in Florida, guys.
Here are this week's Florida men. Right?
Yeah, new arrests just dropped. Check it out. That's crazy.
I mean, I guess that's where the whole like Florida man thing started, right?
100%.
It's weird. I know in where I was born and raised, there's a weird public roster of all the criminals. Then when they commit them, they'll have the mugshot and like, this is what this guy did.
Really?
And in like very not like plain language and very like opinionated language. It's really bizarre. Yeah.
Opinionated.
Yeah, it's weird. I'll
Like, I
show you
can't believe he
sometime.
got caught. What
Yeah, it's weird stuff. Because when you're from a small town, you're like, oh, nothing bad happens, and then you read this, you're like, oh, bad stuff happens. Yeah, okay, I definitely just didn't know. It's weird.